is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer, Jack Soble, Tyler Horka live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Got a lot to discuss in this week's Notre Dame six-pack show, where we have 6 topics and have 6 minutes to discuss each of them. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. And this show is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, and no one's going to get you ready for game day like Academy. So swing by your local store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and so much more. If you're in the state of Indiana, you got 8 stores, including a new one coming soon to Mishawaka. So be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. I'm going to have the little video counter going in a minute. Some technical difficulties on this end, but it is going to start with the Purdue rewatch. I'll throw it over to you, Jack. When you got to rewatch the Notre Dame Purdue game, what were your biggest takeaways?
On defense, I think they need to simplify things. I think up front they're stunting too much. Stunts work great if you target them and you execute them well. Notre Dame is doing neither right now. They're just kind of having the defensive tackle and defensive end switch places, and I think it's one of the things preventing the D-line from playing fast. In the secondary, they need to pick a coverage as their bread and butter and stick with it. Marcus Freeman was absolutely right when he said they ran cover 1, cover 3, cover 4 over that final drive against final drive of the first half against Purdue, and the players weren't playing fast in any of them. It's just a lot that they need to simplify on the defensive end. That was my number one takeaway.
Yeah, I'll start there as well. Start with that drive right before halftime. I think I tweeted it in the moment, said it in the moment. Like, that was your chance to kind of bow up and show that you're more than what you've been. And instead, they just showed us they're exactly who they've been. I mean, the first play of that drive was a 13-yard check down to the running back. It goes, like I said, for 13 yards.
No one anywhere near him.
No one anywhere near him. And you take that if you're Purdue, because you have a couple of timeouts. And, yeah, you need to go 75 yards. But guess what? They went 75 yards in 6 plays. One of those was a freaking spike to stop the clock. It's like there was a 19-yard chunk play in there. Every single time they actually snapped the ball and tried to run offense, they got positive yards. It culminated with the touchdown that I think is very telling. Jalen Stroman, who, by the way, is now technically benched. Tay Johnson is going to officially start in his place alongside of Don Schuler at safety. And you kind of see why, because it's a single high look. And, Jack, you did a good job of breaking down, I think you put it on social media, all the different looks that Marcus Freeman said that Notre Dame put out in not one drive, 6 plays. And Stroman is just sitting in the middle of the end zone. And there's 2 routes that basically come to him. And he's got to decide which one he's going to go to. And he goes to neither. And he just stands there, does nothing. By the time he's like, oh, this ball's probably going to nitro toggle, he's way too late. His cornerback is already burnt for a touchdown. It's a great throw and catch, by the way. And that was multiple times by Purdue in this game where there's great throws and catches. But for a Notre Dame defense that's already reeling, you need safety help over the top. The safeties have been poor. And kind of my last thoughts on the defense is Marcus Freeman is right when he says man coverage, there's technique issues. Guys are getting beat. And then zone coverage, it's not a disciplined zone. These guys are not getting to where they need to be to prevent pitch and catch type of gains for the opposition. So that's all kind of on the back end. But I don't know, Jack, if you have any yeah, I guess you just did with the stunts and stuff. But, like, it does start up front. And I will say this. In the second half, you kind of saw what it's supposed to look like, where Junior Tuihalamaka is getting to the quarterback. Bryce Young is getting to the quarterback. Jaden Osbury got to the quarterback at the same time as Bryce Young on a blitz. I think blitzes are more valuable than stunts. Obviously, they need to get home for them to be effective. It's the same for both of those different things. But, like, if you could figure out some blitz packages that actually work, I think that generates some confidence, and maybe even the defensive line feeds off that and says, okay, yeah, we're getting what we need. Now let's do what we need to do to change this thing, because from the front to the back, Notre Dame's defense looks pretty poor right now.
You mentioned Bryce Young. I would like to see him kind of relegated to just a passing down role. I think Notre Dame kind of overloaded him. Remember, he's still so new to the position, and he's one of those guys who like he's playing way less fast than he can. But when he has the opportunity to just pin his ears back and get after the passer, I mean, he executes that chop rip to perfection. So and plus Notre Dame has plenty of edge rushers who can have and will play very well against the run. You don't need him to defend the run right now. You got to have him perfect what he's got to be good at first, which is pass rushing, and then go from there. In that same vein, a couple of Notre Dame defenders, like obviously they played really well against the run against Purdue. You have to take into account that it's Purdue and not Miami or Texas A&M. But a couple of Notre Dame defenders that I thought played really well. Boubacar Traore was involved a ton. He really set that edge well. Elijah Hughes, the USC transfer, I thought he played a really nice game. He was constantly getting his arms extended. He was firing off the ball more than Notre Dame's other defensive tackles. Gabriel Rubio, I thought had a pretty nice game as well. But I was really impressed with Hughes. Obviously, KVA had himself a nice game. Offensively, the offensive line, it's really nice to rewatch those games. Like you know what the running backs are going to do, but to really keep an eye on the offensive line, like they played by far their best game. And again, I all the Miami fans are in my. I don't know why Miami fans are so insecure about this, but Notre Dame played better against Purdue doesn't mean I'm underestimating Miami's defensive line. The Notre Dame played its best game on the offensive line. The run blocking was fantastic. I thought Eli Raridan had his best game in a Notre Dame uniform as a run blocker, which is a really, really good sign. Gerber Lambert's getting a lot better. He certainly played his best game. Like I said on social, like he's still raw from a technical standpoint, but when you give him a chance to get out in space and use that frame, like he really gets after it. Like he hustles, he moves. He's a twitchier mover than you'd expect for a guy his size. So I really liked what I saw from him.
Yeah, the offense is great, man. I don't even care that I only have 20 seconds left to say all this because there's not much that needs to be said about that side of the ball. I think CJ Carr is playing phenomenally. He's being protected very, very well outside of the one Anthony Knapp miscue that we all saw. And then the running backs are what the running backs are. They're two best guys in combination in college football. That's what it is.
I fully anticipate the answer to this question being both. But calls or execution, like what's going on with this defense, Tyler?
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit of both, but I kind of put this in writing when I did my rewatch and put it on blueandgold.com in article format. Like Marcus Freeman didn't all of a sudden become an idiot overnight. So when he gets up there and tells us on Monday, he said 2, but he really went to 3 things that are wrong with Notre Dame's defense. So the man coverage technique is not what it was before. They are not covering as well man-to-man as they did last year, and that will get exposed. When you have a dichotomy of like 2 huge stark differences of last year, they covered as well as anybody in man. This year, they're just getting toasted and beat. Like I put it out there. All 3 of Purdue's touchdowns, they scored 3 touchdowns in this game. You can attribute it back to whether it was the touchdown itself or a play right before the touchdown, because of course that first one was a little tricky, and that's not on man coverage. It just was what it was. But the play a couple plays before that to Nitro Tuttle, that was a man coverage. Just Mark Zachary getting beat is what it was. So that's there. The pass rush is not there, and that's also what Freeman kind of signaled out and said, hey, we're not getting to the quarterback, and when that happens, like who knows where the play is going to go, especially if you have coverage issues. And by the way, yes, there are coverage issues in zone. Jack, you kind of challenged him. I can't remember if it was after the game or in the Monday press conference where you said, I think it was after the game, there might be a little bit of confusion from what it looks like from the press box. And Freeman was like, I don't think our guys are confused. Me rewatching this game, looking at the zone, they are definitely confused in zone coverage. They just don't know where they need to be, when they need to be there. And the wide receivers that they're facing and the quarterbacks that they're facing, they know exactly where to be, when to be there. And it's just bang, bang, bang all the way down the field. So it's a lot of execution, but if that part of not knowing where they need to be, when they need to be there is play calling and coaching, then yeah, so be it. That needs to be better as well.
What I think a lot of fans are mistaken about is that for some reason people believe that play calling is the only thing coaches control, which is just absolutely not the case whatsoever and never was. Like when Freeman says, I don't think it's the play calling, I've said this so many times, like he's not absolving Chris Ash or anyone else on the coaching staff when he says this. I don't have as much of an issue with play calling specifically. Like when nothing you're calling is working, it's not the calls. The only two calls that I had a real issue with were that final drive at the end of the first half when you're basically someone commented on Twitter like bros using coach suggestions, and like that is what it is. The other one was against Texas A&M when he ran prevent with like 6 seconds left, and A&M had 2 timeouts, and they had one play to get in the field goal range, and they missed the field goal. But Chris Ash is lucky they did, because he would have gotten flamed for that if that had cost them points. But the broader issue is they just don't play the same way that they played last year. Like Chris Ash came in here and he was like, the way Notre Dame has played defense is the way Notre Dame is going to play defense in the future. And it was fast, it was physical, it was violent, it was instinctually, it was aggressively. Like they're not doing any of that. And whether Chris Ash told them not to do that or not, like there is a common denominator here. Like I don't know if it's fair to pin. It's not fair to pin all of it on Chris Ash, but the fact that they're not executing at the level that they have before, and like some specific players haven't executed at the level that they have before, and Notre Dame hasn't gotten the young players ready to execute at the level that they have before, like it starts at the top, and it's just hard for me to see any other explanation right now. Like I hate scapegoating coordinators. I think coordinators are one of the most overblamed and overcredited people in sports, generally speaking. But it's just hard for me to see another common denominator here.
Yeah, this is more speculative than anything, but I floated it out there in a thread at blueandgold.com on the message board. It almost feels like an air of complacency, in the sense that I don't know if Mike Mickens thought this or Marcus Freeman thought this. Chris Ash even taking over what he told us was a very, very good situation. It's part of the reason that he's here, is because he thought he was inheriting a gold mine, for lack of a better term. But it feels like everyone involved just thought there would be immediate carryover and expected carryover from what this has been to what it was going to be this year. And there's almost a little bit of shock value that it's like, oh, shoot, no, it's not this. We don't have Xavier Watts, or we don't have Jack Kaiser, we don't have Riley Mills and Howard Cross up front. So other guys have gotten heaps of responsibility thrown on them that they didn't have before. And Jack, like you said, some of these guys are true freshmen, like Mark Zachary and Dallas Golden. And I think it needs to be said that when Leonard Moore comes back, and Devonta Smith, who we haven't seen since Miami, and Miami feels like 8 years ago at this point, when those guys are back and in the fold, this defense has the chance to be much, much better. I don't think they can get much, much worse. But kind of that first game against Miami, who's turning out to be a really good team so far in the first month of the season, that was probably the best Notre Dame defense has played defensively. I mean, there was the fluky Moore gives up the double move as Schuler doesn't make a play there. I mean, they had a chance to hold Miami around 20 points in that game. So it can look more like that. It needs to be better than that, but I think improvement can be had.
By the way, you all laughed at me when I said after game one that I was more concerned about Ash than Denbrock.
People laughed at that?
Oh, yeah.
People on the message board really had a problem with that comment.
It was a hot debate.
About people were concerned about Denbrock? Really?
Well, because everyone was mad about the offensive play calling after game one.
Yeah,
because they didn't get to love enough. The game plan made sense. They just didn't adjust fast enough.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you how long ago that game was. That was actually a debate.
That game.
I must have not been in those message board threads. I mean, Denbrock is.
I'll try to find the thread after this.
Please don't. I won't read it. Don't waste your time. But I mean, Denbrock is like inarguably a top 10 offensive coordinator in college football.
Oh, no,
I mean,
no doubt.
And then Ari Wasserman put him number 2. Or was it Andy Staples? Number 2.
After that game, I pretty much said, yeah, I don't agree with how Denbrock called this game, but the bigger issue is that the defense is playing soft, and that's not something you saw before.
I think most fans saw Notre Dame in a position to have to come back, so that they were like, the offense was so bad for 3 quarters or whatever it was, that they kind of looked past what Jack was saying, and that, I mean,
there were the flags were more red on defense than they were on offense.
Yeah,
like as far as future projection was concerned.
All right, let's talk about Arkansas. How are you guys feeling about this game? I think it's gone down to like Notre Dame's a 4-point favorite, so people really hammering Arkansas here. What do you guys think? Like, how does Jack? How do the Razorbacks match up with the Irish?
Get ready to learn Taylor Green, buddy. I know. I think I said that exact same thing on our stand up after the game, but he's really good. He's playing some really excellent football right now, and he's got a lot of guys to throw to. Omega Blake, number 9, is their number one receiver, is transferred from somewhere. Everyone on that team, is, aside from Green, is a transfer pretty much. Green is basically like, imagine Marcel Reed in Riley Leonard's body, but a more accurate downfield passer than either of them. That's an oversimplification, but that's kind of what Taylor Green is right now. Like, he's a prolific runner. He's Arkansas's leading rusher. He will keep it on zone reads. He's the kind of guy who, like, he won't necessarily make you miss in a phone booth like Lamar Jackson, who is offensive coordinator who coached both, has actually compared Green to Lamar Jackson. He won't make you miss in a phone booth like that, but if you give him a head of steam, like, he can accelerate, and before you know it, he's by you. But where he's made the most strides is, like, you see some of the throws he hits downfield, and you're like, oh, that is like a high level NFL level throw. He's doing that when he's well protected, and he's been well protected a lot by an offensive line that's much improved from where it was last year. Corey Robinson, the left tackle, Georgia Tech transfer, actually a high school teammate of Anthony Knapp. He is a really good player. I still don't think he's allowed a quarterback pressure. Last time I checked, his pass blocking grade was over 90 on PFF. That's another name to watch. But bottom line is, this passing game is firing on all cylinders, and it kind of comes down to Green, the offensive line, and too many receivers to really game plan for.
Yeah, I would throw the tight ends in there. I think they have one tight end who has touched the ball 6 times, and 3 of those are touchdowns. So the fact that you have to account for 3, like, Notre Dame doesn't even have 3 tight ends right now that you have to account for.
They're a very diverse passing game. Yeah.
Yeah, the diversity. Omega Blake, my middle name is Blake, by the way. Tyler Blake sounds way less cool than Omega Blake. It's an awesome name, and he's got some sweet statistics as well. 24 catches, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, guy's a stud. And Jack, you talked a lot about their passing game. You did mention the way that Taylor Green runs the ball. I think they have 2 running backs as well who they throw in the game. They're not Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, but Mike Washington and Braylon Russell, both averaging over 5 yards a carry. Mike Washington's
look at some of the blocking they've had, man.
They're
They're really playing well up front.
7 touchdowns on the ground between those 2 guys. They get them both involved in the passing game. I think Washington has a touchdown through the air. So, like, the diversity of the offense, and especially when you factor in that someone like Bobby Petrino, who's been around this game for a long, long time, is calling those plays. Combination of, I think you're seeing it at Notre Dame right now too, which is awesome and is exactly where you want to be. The combination of offensive coordinator and quarterback is, like, I would say this at the NFL level too, is like wildly, wildly important. Sometimes it's the head coach who's calling those shots. So, like, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, like, when you have offensive mind on the sideline and then guy who can take what's being given to him and go out there and execute it on the field, that's what you see in Petrino and Green. And, like, it's scary. This offense, we'll talk about the defense, and I'm glad we've gone longer on the offense with Arkansas, because the defense is rough as well. But, like, this Arkansas offense is for real. I will say one thing, though. They've scored 10 points in the second half of the last 2 games. So 7 against Ole Miss, 3 against Memphis. So to me, it's like, Chris Ash, clearly these defensive coordinators that they've gone up against have seen something and said, hey, this is how we're going to stop it in the second half. If you can't do that in this game, they did it against Purdue. If you can do it against Arkansas, which is a tougher task, but it has been done. And, like, I think that's the test for me. How does Notre Dame progress within the 60 minutes on defense against this really, really good offense?
Well, the defense for Arkansas, of course, has been porous, but what I think Arkansas fans are really upset about, and you covered this well in your Behind Enemy Lines interview, is, like, the poor coaching that leads to these late collapses. It's like, it's such a recurring theme with Sam Pittman. They lose a game because they fumbled on their final offensive drive against Ole Miss, and then they lose a game because they fumbled on their final offensive drive again against Memphis, and that fumble was worse because all they had to do was let the clock run down and kick a field goal. They were, like, inside the 10 or inside the 15. Like, that's just coaching. That is coaching. And it's a big reason Arkansas fans are pretty dang fed up with Sam Pittman at the moment. So I don't know. We'll talk about this more in the Will Notre Dame win segment, but as much as you can't trust the Notre Dame defense to contain Taylor Green, you can't trust Arkansas in general to pull out a close game if Notre Dame can score with them, which I don't think there's any reason they can't.
Yeah, it's like Arkansas finds ways to lose, and that's a sign of bad coaching. They've worth pointing out they've won a game like this before, like a year ago, pretty much a calendar year ago when they beat Tennessee, but that was a low scoring. I feel like Tennessee more so found a way to lose that. I don't see Notre Dame going into this game and just like completely crapping the bed offensively to the point of losing. Like you said, Jack, they're going to score enough points. So it's going to be like Arkansas finds a way to lose again, or Notre Dame just has more pedal to the metal ability than Arkansas and goes and finds a way to win the game. But like, I don't think Notre Dame is going to find a way to lose this game.
So what's your guys' like confidence level in Notre Dame in this game? Like, are you feeling pretty good? You're not like, is Notre Dame going to win this one? Because Notre Dame, like I said earlier, is like a 4-point favorite. The over under right now is 64.5. Do you guys think that one goes over? Tyler, I see your reaction.
Yeah, I've got the over. I think I have this game at a nice 69 points right now.
Nice.
That's what I predicted. Again, I think I've said this on this very show before, that we have to put in a prediction for the magazine before we even see the prior game. So pre-Purdue, this was coming right after Texas A&M. I actually picked Arkansas to win 35-34. And on the flip side of that, that was before I saw Arkansas literally fumble away a game against Memphis that they should have won. So I'm less confident in that outcome right now, but I will say, Jack, I'm pretty 50-50 on this. Like, there's a world where Notre Dame doesn't score enough points to beat Arkansas because the Notre Dame defense looks exactly like it has the last couple of weeks. There's a world where Notre Dame scores so many points that it doesn't matter and it still wins and wins ugly. So I'm somewhere in between those two possibilities. I don't think all of a sudden the defense looks magic and Notre Dame wins this easily.
Someone pointed out on our board that against Tennessee last year, Auburn kind of snuck up on them. Like, Tennessee was rolling. They had either just beaten Alabama or they were about to beat Alabama. So it was kind of trap gamey for Tennessee there. And obviously they wound up making the college football playoff anyway. That's obviously not going to happen against Notre Dame. Notre Dame knows exactly how important this game is for them. They know exactly what kind of challenge they're up against with the Arkansas offense. So this isn't a trap game by any stretch. I know some people kind of pointed this one before the season, but no, this is the season. If you're Notre Dame, this is another one of those games that determines the course of the next 8. So motivation is certainly not going to be an issue. I feel pretty confident Notre Dame can score, and I feel pretty confident Notre Dame can win the turnover battle, because we know that's such a sticking point for the Irish. And I have to believe that the defense is going to figure out how to not be terrible at some point. Like, it's one thing to get back to where they were last year, because we're probably past that point. It's another thing to become average, which should probably be the goal at this point. I have to believe that Notre Dame has the talent to be better than they've been. And whether that starts showing up against Arkansas, whether that starts showing up against Boise State, maybe it's too late if they've lost to Arkansas. Who knows? But I have to believe that they are more talented than they've played like right now. I do think it would be very helpful if they could have Leonard Moore follow Omega Blake everywhere he goes around the field, which is something that Marcus Freeman said. And we actually had discussed it, me and Eric Hansen, on our Sunday show. And Tyler James asked the question, would you consider having Leonard Moore follow the opposing team's best receiver around the field when he's healthy? He's got to get healthy first. But Freeman said, yeah, they've talked about it and it is in consideration. And if Leonard Moore is healthy for this game, this would be an excellent game to start.
Hey, I just want to point out that Hardwood Carnell has made it about Texas twice in this thread, and not me, but he mentioned the Louisville Fighting Farmers. I didn't even realize that Taylor Green went there. That's like my neck of the woods back home in DFW. And then he said, go Mean Green, which is also my neck of the woods. So good for you, Hardwood. Getting back to a couple of things that you said, Jack, motivation factor. somebody else in the thread said that Pittman and shout out Kyle Sutherland of Hogbeat, which is part of the On3 network. You referenced the Behind Enemy Lines interview that I did. And he mentioned quite a few times that like Sam Pittman just somehow wins this game. Like he's never going to be fired because he loses to Notre Dame. He'll be fired for all of the other terrible losses that he's taken, like the one last week to Memphis. But for some reason, somehow he saves his job by winning these games like Notre Dame. So there is that factor. 11 a.m. at home. Place is going to be packed, even though they're coming off of 2 losses. So there's some intangibles there. I guess this is an intangible if they're not playing, but like you want Leonard Moore and Devonta Smith to be in this ball game. Like I don't even think I've given enough thought to how much differently this defense probably looks if those 2 guys are playing as opposed to if they're not playing. So if they are, I probably like Notre Dame in this game because I, like you, think that like something defensively has to come. Maybe it's Leonard Moore making like a big time play. I know he made the interception against Texas A&M, but like Leonard Moore having not an Xavier Watts type of game because he's a corner and Xavier Watts was a safety and it's completely different, but just like having that impact, he's the guy that's capable of that for the Notre Dame defense. And with him out, like you lose a lot in that sense. And you lose the ability to, like you said, cover the other team's best player on offense. So you need Leonard Moore to be in this for my confidence factor to go up because right now it really is sitting 50-50. I could see it going a number of ways. But this is actually something I was talking to with a newspaper reporter in the state last night before we interviewed the players and Mike Denbrock. I could kind of see this going, and somebody put it on our blueandgold.com message board too. Shout out to that person. Could kind of go like 2022 North Carolina. I think everybody thought Notre Dame was going to lose that game because they'd already lost twice in the season. Guess what? Notre Dame's already lost twice this season. You're going up against a really good quarterback in offense in Drake May. Guess what? You're going up against a really good quarterback in offense in Taylon Green. But somehow Drew Pine just balls out and Notre Dame wins that game somewhat convincingly. I could see it going like that, where like Arkansas fans are filing out of the stadium. And they're like, yep, we don't beat Notre Dame. Just like North Carolina fans were like, yep, we don't beat Notre Dame. That's not what we do.
You get a performance from the defense, probably. Yeah.
Tyler, I feel like the Marcus Freeman press conferences, I mean, it's not, I feel like it just has been. Freeman's been getting more, and I think it's even since the his little halftime interview. I don't know if you got to see that, Tyler. I know Jack did, but he's been talking with like, he's been more candid, more fiery.
Visible frustration, I think, is the best way to describe it.
Yeah. So Tyler, what do you make about Freeman's comments? And yeah, we just haven't seen him like he's big on coach speak, but which makes sense. It's coach speak. He's a coach, but man, about the defense lately, he's been like Jack said, visibly frustrated
and transparent too. That's part of it that I love. Is last year he wasn't in a position to have to talk about a defense that was playing poorly because it never really was, even when Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. I know we talked about it last week a little bit, Jack. There were things they could have done better in that football game, but like by and large, overall, week to week, defense was not Notre Dame's issue last year. And from game to game to game this year, it has been. And the defensive questions are what's dominating these press conferences. So he has to stand up to them and own them. And 2 weeks ago, it was execution, right? And we kind of were like, okay, yeah, sure, you got to go out there and make the plays, whatever. Now he's talking about how the coaching relates to the execution and the coaches relate to the players and the players are relating back to the coaches. And he used the word panic after the game multiple times. Like, that's candid. That's transparent. He said there was a little bit of panic that set in when nothing was working. And then the way that he's conveying all this stuff too is fiery, emotional, animated, whatever words you want to use. So yeah, it is. I think it's a different Marcus Freeman, Jack, because the circumstances are so different. And I think, to his credit, he recognizes the magnitude of the circumstances. It's either this defense, and I'm going to hit my desk just like Marcus Freeman hits that lectern. It's either this defense figures this out and Notre Dame becomes the team that it wants to be, or it doesn't. And, that's what Notre Dame is facing is a disappointing season.
Well, the big difference between Freeman this year and Freeman last year is like, even when the offense was playing pretty much at the same level as the defense is now, Freeman didn't talk about the offense last year like he's talking about the defense now. And I said this on the Sunday show too, like he had a lot more confidence that the offense was going to figure it out last year than he does that the defense is going to figure it out right now. He is really trying to light a fire under his guys. Like, I kind of took it on Monday as like Freeman kind of stopped speaking to us at one point and started speaking directly to his players and coaches. And it was like, you have two options, fight or flight. Either you point the figure at yourself and get this fixed, or you blame others and then nothing's going to get solved that way. Like, he pretty much, I don't know if there is finger pointing going on in the room right now. If there is, they're not going to tell us, obviously, but Freeman sure sounded like there was some stuff going on in his locker room that he wanted to squash out. That's obviously kind of a leap of assumption, or like an educated guess on my end based on what Freeman was saying, but the way he constantly emphasized don't finger point makes it sound like there might be some of that going on right now.
Yeah. And what did he say in relation to that? It, like, he didn't definitively, like you say, Jack, say that that's what's going on, but he said if it is, like, there's going to be a divide. I think he did this with his fingers, and he said it's going to go one way, and that's not the way that you want it to go. He even said point blank, frankly, it's going to be bad. And when he said that, I'm like, is this something that's already happening? Or like, does he feel, is it on the precipice of happening? So I don't think that like total crash out mode in that locker room is occurring right now. I think people are questioning things, and that's right in line. I think a reporter even said it in the room on Monday, is like, you're a question everything guy. So like, it's fine to do that. Right. And it is. But the good teams and the good coaches and the good players, they find the answers quicker than the others do. Sometimes you never do, and you end up getting fired. And I'm not talking about Freeman in that case, but like when there's no answers and that's prolonged, then something's got to change. But the preferred alternative is to change it yourselves and find the answers and, do the things necessary to where we're not having these kinds of press conferences. Don't get me wrong. They're fun. I love covering this type of stuff, but like, we wouldn't be in this position to cover this stuff if Notre Dame was playing defense like it was last year. That's just the bottom line, what it is. So yeah, again, I've enjoyed covering it, and mostly I've enjoyed covering it because I've covered Marcus Freeman press conferences, and I'm glad for his sake that he's past this, where he did not have answers, and it was like the worst coach speak in the world, and he seemed a little clueless, and like he was never going to find the answers. We're way past that, man. Like, I get it, Northern Illinois just happened last year, but I take myself back to like Marshall and Stanford of 2022, and that was so much worse because you really questioned, is it ever going to get to a point where Notre Dame is going to be really good? And we saw that last year. Yeah, they were at that point. So I'm not questioning that they can't and Freeman can't overcome this, but I do applaud that he recognizes that there is a lot to overcome right now.
It really seems like he wants the tough questions from us. Like he seems to welcome that right now. Like he wants to call his players and coaches out at this point. Like I remember after A&M before Purdue, the Monday presser, he was asked like, what are some things that the defense is doing well, and he looked as uncomfortable as I've seen him this year. Like he doesn't want to talk about what's going well. All he wants to talk about is this is what's going wrong. This is what we got to get fixed. And like he's again, that's why I think it really is speaking to his players and coaches through the media. Like he is challenging them publicly in front of everyone. Get it fixed, point the figure out yourself, stay together. That's it.
And that's amazing because that's something that wouldn't have happened 2 years ago in press conferences. He's not doing that.
Jaden Greathouse has 2 receptions for 41 yards through 3 games. So I want to have this discussion, Jack, about the receiver usage. It feels like Malachi Fields and Jordan Faison, at least from where I said, you guys can disagree, are the ones that are like, all right, we are feeding them the ball. We have design plays for these guys. Greathouse, Pauling, not as much. What do you guys make of this?
I actually want Tyler to go first because I know what he's going to say, and I know what I'm going to say in response.
I want Will Pauling to start at slot receiver, 100%, not even a question in my mind. Got the Pro Football Focus numbers up in front of me. Jaden Greathouse has run 47 receiving routes, and he has 5 targets. Will Pauling has run 25 receiving routes, so almost half, a little more than half. He has 4 targets. So, like, when he's out there, I just think that he makes himself available a little bit more. He's a guy that CJ Carr trusts a little bit. I don't know what it is, but like CJ Carr is more inclined to go to his direction with the ball. It's not a whole lot. I mean, the percentages there are not great for either one of them, but I think with Jordan Faison, who leads the team with 17 targets, Malachi Fields has 16. Obviously, they're the top two guys, but there's still room for a slot receiver to do something in this offense. And Jaden Greathouse hasn't done anything in 3 games. He has 2 catches. They were both in the Texas A&M game. One of them was completely worthless and meaningless at the very end of the game. I think that Will Pauling, team captain, I saw him in fall camp, just a guy who people trust, and I think CJ Carr trusts him. And if he were to be in his starting position, I think you see more production from the slot. That's just the way I see it.
Tyler, did you grow up watching Phineas and Ferb, or is that more my time?
No, I got a little bit of that.
All right. If I had a nickel for every time Tyler called for an established starter to be benched within 3 games of the season, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that that's happened twice, right?
Who else are we talking about?
Well, Riley last year.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were wrong then, and I think you're wrong now. I think it's way too early to make that decision. I think the ceiling that Jaden Greathouse provides is still greater. I think the split that they're doing right now is working for everyone. Obviously, CJ Carr is really comfortable with Malachi Fields and Jordan Faison. I think part of that is the coverage that teams are playing. We're seeing less single high than we did certainly late last year. It's a lot of off coverage on the outside. I think CJ Carr is more comfortable taking advantage of holes on the outside, like in off coverage, or like when they're running the out route to Faison or the hole shot to Fields. He's more comfortable with that than the seam shot to Greathouse. Whereas if they're running single high and you got a slot corner pressed up on Greathouse, that's kind of where he thrives. And I think CJ Carr is more comfortable throwing outside at the moment. But again, it's so early that I think it's so early, and the offense is playing so well that any kind of lineup change with an established starter like Greathouse is premature. Also, Freeman going out of his way to complement the job that Jaden and Faison did blocking on Love's touchdown seemed intentional to me. That kind of sounded like, hey, JG, stay engaged because we're going to need you at some point this season. I think they still know that. They still believe in that. It's been how long has it been since late May when Freeman said even when Jaden's covered, he's open? Like I don't think within 3 games that they're going to just completely go away from that.
I just don't understand 5 targets in 3 games like that. That's not, if you're covered, you're open. That doesn't sound like that to me. Like CJ Carr's not even looking his way, let alone Jaden Greathouse being open. So I don't know. Maybe I need to watch the Purdue game a 3rd time and like just. You wouldn't even see that much Jaden Greathouse to begin with in that game, though, because Notre Dame was in 12 personnel so much.
I mean, yeah, he ran 5 routes in that game.
Yeah. So here's another thing that we could spin this off of, though. This doesn't need to all be a Greathouse Pauling diatribe here in this segment. I think it's a great thing that Notre Dame has a serious. I don't think it's one personally, because I think Malachi Fields is definitely Notre Dame's number one wide receiver, just in terms of the versatility and the body and like all those different things. But if you look at the numbers, it's like, is Notre Dame's number one wide receiver Jordan Faison, or is it Malachi Fields? That's a great spot to be in, because it's been a long time where you're like, holy cow, these 2 guys are getting the ball a lot. They're making good use of it. They're scoring long touchdowns. They're moving the chains on. They're moving it like they're getting first downs. It's all very good, positive things. And then when you throw in Eli Raridan has 9 catches on 13 targets, Jeremiah Love has 8 catches on 12 targets. You have 4 guys. The drop off is real from there to Greathouse. Greathouse is the next targeted guy, and he only has 5 targets. But like those 4, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a running back, your passing game, your pass catching options are very, very solid at the top.
Right, which is why at this point, like, yeah, Greathouse after the end of the season he had, him not getting targeted is certainly a discussion point, but it's trivial at this point because the passing offense is doing so well. And with Faison, like, yes, he's healthy and he wasn't last year, and Den Brock was really high on him last year if he would have been healthy. But I think he really benefited from doing more football in the spring, because the way he snaps off those out routes this year, it's much more technically advanced than we've seen him in the past. And like he seems like a smoother mover than he was even as a freshman when he was healthy.
And thank God for a healthy ankle too.
Thank God for that hip drop tackle week 1 last year really killed him. But no, it's a great thing that he's emerging, and I really like him to the field because he gets so much off coverage, and he's gotten really good at snapping off those short routes.
All right. Anything else, boys, before we sign off?
I'm still undecided on who's going to win this game, just like I was in the middle of that show. I really don't know.
Yeah, I kind of am too. It's not gonna like Notre Dame's not gonna get blown out, but I feel like it's one of those games like kind of against Miami where Notre Dame didn't get blown out, but you could kind of tell early who was gonna have the upper hand all day. I think the first quarter is gonna tell us a lot. Whereas like it was different against Texas A&M, like that was a back and forth dogfight the entire time. Whereas Miami, like you saw, they were winning the line of scrimmage the whole time in the first quarter. I feel like Arkansas is going to go the way of that one way or another.
I think it's possible that we're a little spoiled covering Notre Dame because more times than not, this is a good football team. The talent is there. The coaching is there. We could walk into a situation on Saturday with Arkansas where it just kind of hits us once that game gets going and Notre Dame is just like controlling it a little bit. It's like, oh, yeah, Arkansas is in way more of a world of hurt than Notre Dame is or will ever be in the Freeman era. Like, I think that's entirely possible.
For sure. I mean, they're certainly in a more dire situation, at least from a long-term program standpoint is concerned.
Notre Dame, bro, give me 33-23, something like that. That's my pick. Yeah, write it down. Write it down. Notre Dame by 10 and the under will hit. I do feel good about the under though, because it's just so it's like betting on the Packers. Of course, the Packers are going to go cover against the Browns.
All right, that game. Okay,
it's like when you think you know something
and then you don't.
You don't. Yeah.
That's why I think
suddenly becoming a philosophical discussion.
That's why I think the under hits. I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest. I'm very just when it comes to Notre Dame football, I've just and really any team that I like besides the Dolphins, I'm just an optimistic guy, and I have faith that Notre Dame defense turns this around. I think they're going to have a much better outing. And what Tyler just said about like could come out and Notre Dame is just controlling it. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that Notre Dame is better than they have shown defensively. Dude, there's too many good players. There's like the run defense was really good against Purdue. Kingston's a freak. Like so much is going to depend. We didn't even talk about this, I don't think, unless I wasn't paying attention. The health of the secondary. Oh my goodness.
We talked about that a little bit.
Okay, good.
More there, yeah.
Ty?
The personnel defense or difference on defense, even though Notre Dame's defense has been terrible, is going to be incredibly evident in this game. Like when you look at Notre Dame on defense, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that guy's real. You look at Arkansas, like I'm starting to think more and more that Notre Dame's going to score 50 points in this game again. Like
Eric Hansen on our Sunday show has his take about Notre Dame. He was like, do I think they figure out the defense? I don't know, but they don't really play another good defense on their schedule, so it's entirely possible they just outscore everyone they play. Like USC and Arkansas are the toughest ones, but
yeah,
they really don't play another quality defense. And obviously, like if they go 10-2 and make the playoff without fixing the defense, they're not going to do anything once they get there. But they could go 10-2 without fixing the defense in theory.
I think Kyle Sutherland, the guy that I interviewed from Hogbeat, he put it perfectly in that, yeah, it's an SEC team. It's an SEC roster, definitely a lower half one, but there's still some talented guys sprinkled in that defense. But even the super talented guys are missing tackles, are being out of position. And like the reason that teams are going down the field and scoring, you kind of saw that with Purdue, with the safety last year, with Dylan Thieneman, right? Is that his name? Like he was on such a bad team that it didn't matter how good he was. He was going to look bad even on that team. You're kind of seeing that with Arkansas. And yeah, I think Notre Dame scores at least 40, maybe 50.
Hot take. I learned this a lot from Loose Emoji. Things aren't as good as they seem. Things aren't as bad as they seem. I think that the offense, we may be a little too high on them, not by much. And then we're not as high, or we're dismissing the defense too much. I just think that the defense is going to play a little bit better, and the offense might, not play to the level it has the past couple weeks. That's why I like 33-23.
Sure. It is.
I fully expect to be wrong, by the way, because I'm never right about these things. But there you go. That's my
Tyler. You've been on this CJ Carr's looked great so far, but it's always possible he has a rookie stinker week somewhere in there.
Yeah, he's not going to be
development.
I'll give away a little magazine article. I think I'm going to put it out either tomorrow or Friday anyway, like you did with yours last week, Jack. It's the Charting the Irish, and Pete Sampson. Shout out to him. He's the one that kind of alerted all of us to this. CJ Carr has the best passer efficiency rating of any Notre Dame quarterback ever in a single season. I get it. It's only been 3 games, but if he plays the exact same 3 games 3 more times, because we're 1/4 of the way through the season, right? It's groups of 3 here. He's got 3 more of these groups of 3 left. If he does exactly what he's done, he's the best passer efficiency rating in Notre Dame history. It seems like somewhere in there will be a stumble game, and it's like passer efficiency rating of like 99, and that's not good. A QBR of 99 is excellent. It's amazing, right? But
right.
A passer efficiency rating of 99, he's at 166.8 right now. Like, where is that clunker gonna come in? But I'm gonna go with Mike and be optimistic. I don't think it's this week. I think he plays really well again this week. I do.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to do it for the show, folks. If you've not done so yet, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Tyler, you enjoy your the beach bachelor party. Where'd you say it was again? Where you go?
I guess I could head up to Lake Michigan while the weather still warrants.
All right. Again, folks, really appreciate you for tuning in. If you're just watching now, rewind, watch from the beginning, see what you missed out on. But yeah, you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.